All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a biblical narrative from the Gospel of John. And honestly, it is downright bizarre. I mean, if we really look closely at the account in chapter 9, it completely defies every expectation we have about how a miracle is supposed to work. This isn't just some quick fix of an ailment. No, it's a profound theological drama, literally being acted out physically right in front of us.
Think about it. If Jesus just wanted to heal a blind man, why in the world did he use spit and dirt? I mean, instead of offering an instant clean healing, Jesus goes for this messy, excessive process, and it totally forces us to stop and ask, okay, what reality is this sign actually revealing? Because, in John's gospel especially, miracles are rarely just miracles. John very intentionally calls them signs. And a sign? Well, a sign always points to a much larger reality way beyond itself.
So that brings us to a really highly specific detail. Why make clay? I mean, think about the pure absurdity of smearing mud on eyes that are already blind. It makes absolutely no practical sense. Actually, from a purely medical standpoint, it's terrible advice, right? But here's the thing about John's gospel. Every single detail is deeply, deeply intentional. Jesus isn't just killing time here. This incredibly excessive process is practically screaming at us as readers, begging us to figure out exactly what he is trying to communicate.
And then, of course, there's the very next step. Why send the man away, still blind, just to wash? Try to imagine the intense vulnerability involved here. This guy's already blind. Now his eyes are completely caked with mud, and Jesus tells him to go walk through a busy city to find one specific pool? It's wild. This excessive thoroughness, it's a mystery just begging to be solved. It acts as this incredibly profound theological drama rather than just a simple physical healing. It demands participation before manifestation.
Section 1. Reenacting the Genesis creation, the Creator in the dirt.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates a direct, undeniable parallel to the book of Genesis. Jesus isn't just repairing someone's eyes here. He is actually performing an act of symbolic recreation. Let's think back to the dawn of time, right? God forming man from the dust of the earth. Now, contrast that image with Jesus literally spitting on the ground to form clay. You have the earth, you have divine action, and you have restoration. The parallels here are simply impossible to ignore.
So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. The Creator has entered creation, and he is restoring it from within. Remember, John begins his gospel with the words, "In the beginning." He is deliberately setting up Jesus as the divine word. And now, that same divine word is kneeling in the dirt to literally rebuild defective humanity. The blind man's eyes aren't simply being patched up or repaired. They are being fundamentally refashioned by the exact same one who originally formed mankind.
Section 2. The power in the mud. Glory in humble vessels.
Notice the incredibly deliberate humility of the method Jesus chooses here. We're human, right? We expect royalty to show up with grand feasts, giant palaces, and thrones. But God, he repeatedly hides his glory inside common, weak, or honestly, even slightly offensive things. Think about it. Manna instead of a royal feast, a stable instead of a palace, a cross instead of a throne. And right here, mud instead of some grand spectacle. He is literally utilizing the very substance we walk on as the medium for healing.
What this is really about is breaking the mechanical formula. The power is in Christ, not the mud. Humans absolutely love turning divine encounters into these neat little repeatable techniques. Like, hey, if I just repeat these exact steps, the power will happen. But Jesus completely shatters those predictable patterns. Instead of emotional distance, he offers a profound, humanizing, personal touch. Think about how blindness isolates people from normal interaction and basic dignity. A physical touch from a respected rabbi, that in itself would be profoundly humanizing. He engages personally, getting right down there, kneeling in the dirt with humanity.
Section 3. Curing spiritual blindness, the great irony.
So the really crucial point here is that this physical miracle actually serves as a massive metaphor for a much deeper spiritual awakening. And this reveals the grand irony of the entire chapter. Because as the blind man's spiritual illumination grows brighter and brighter, the sighted religious leaders descend further into this self-certain blindness. The formerly blind man first sees Jesus as merely a man, then he upgrades that to a prophet, and eventually, he fully worships him. Meanwhile, the sighted Pharisees, they just become increasingly hostile and totally spiritually blind.
It turns out the method itself is the sermon. Every single strange step layers theology directly into this physical healing. The dirt points straight to creation. The spit shows the use of incredibly humble means. The physical touch demonstrates this intimate, personal engagement. And the command to go wash, that demands obedient faith. Finally, the destination itself, the pool of Siloam, which literally translates to sent. That points directly to illumination coming through the one sent by the Father. The whole miracle essentially acts out the reality that human beings desperately require divine intervention to truly see.
Section 4. The messy process of healing. Trust before sight. Before illumination comes the painful realization that we are blind. Now, we often want God to work like an instant command, don't we? Clean, super efficient, fully explained up front. But He works relationally. And honestly, that is often way slower, much messier, and vastly more humbling than anything we would ever choose for ourselves. The clay on the eyes symbolizes this paradox absolutely perfectly. Before sight comes, there is first an encounter with the dust. Jesus so often heals in ways that systematically dismantle our self-sufficiency first.
And here is the really tough reality for us to swallow. Understanding often follows obedience, rather than preceding it. Think about the blind man. He didn't stand there and debate the chemistry of mud with Jesus. He didn't cross his arms and demand a comprehensive theological explanation of why he had to trek across town before he'd move his feet. No, he vulnerably walked in total darkness toward the water. And guys, that is the very definition of faith. He responded to the voice of Christ as best he could, completely without having the full picture.
But this leaves us with a deeply, deeply comforting truth. Even when the method is mysterious, the hands shaping the clay are trustworthy. Looking back, we almost always realize that the confusing, totally uncomfortable process where God dismantles our self-sufficiency, that is actually a deeply personal part of the healing itself. The one who originally formed mankind from the ground willingly enters the ground-level reality of human suffering to painstakingly remake what sin has damaged.
So what messy, muddy process might you need to trust in your own life before you can finally see? Sometimes the process feels incredibly humiliating before it ever becomes beautiful. Sometimes we're asked to walk forward while still completely unable to see clearly. But always remember, the hands in the dirt are the hands of the Creator. Thanks for exploring this profound sign with me today on The Explainer. So my question to you is, are you ready to embrace the mud?